In the same way, there is nothing on the part of the creature that would necessarily lead us to posit its eternity. For the necessity of being which is found in creatures, from which the first reason for this is taken, is the necessity of order, as was shown in the foregoing. But the necessity of order does not compel the person in whom such necessity exists to have always existed, as was shown above. For although the substance of heaven, through the fact that it lacks the power to not exist, has a necessity to exist, yet this necessity follows its substance. Hence, since its substance is already established in being, such a necessity leads to the impossibility of non-being. But it does not make it impossible for heaven not to exist in the consideration which deals with the production of substance itself. Similarly, the virtue of always being, from which the second reason proceeded, presupposes the production of substance. Hence, when the production of the substance of heaven is under discussion, such a power of eternity cannot be a sufficient argument. Motion does not compel us to posit sempiternity, a reason introduced in consequence. For it is already clear that without the change of the God who acts, it can be that he acts new and not eternal. Now, if it is possible for something to be moved by it anew, it is clear that it is also to be moved. For the newness of motion follows the disposition of the eternal will for motion not always being. Similarly, the intent of natural agents to the perpetuation of species, from which the fourth reason proceeded, presupposes natural agents already produced. Hence this reasoning has no place except in natural things already produced into being, but not when the production of things is in question. Now whether it is necessary to establish a generation lasting forever will be shown in what follows. The fifth reason also, introduced from time, presupposes rather than proves the eternity of motion. For since before and after and the continuity of time follow before and after, and the continuity of motion, according to Aristotle's doctrine, it is clear that the same instant is the beginning of the future and the end of the past, because something marked in motion is the beginning and the end of the different parts of motion. Therefore it will not be necessary for every instant to be of this kind unless every sign received in time is a means between before and after in motion, which is to establish eternal motion. But assuming that motion is not eternal, he can say that the first instant of time is the beginning of the future and the end of no past. Nor is it inconsistent with the succession of time that a beginning and not an end be posited in it now, for the reason that the line in which a point is placed, a beginning and not an end, is standing. But the fact that it is held that there is no time, rather than that it exists if time began, does not compel us to say that time is held to be if it is held not to exist, as the sixth reason concluded. For what we say before there was time, does not place any part of time in reality, but only in imagination. For when we say that time has existence after non-existence, we understand that there was no part of time that was sealed before this now. Just as when we say that there is nothing above heaven, we do not understand that there is any place outside heaven that can be said to be above with respect to heaven, but that there is no place higher than that. In both cases, however, the imagination can add some measure to the existing thing, by reason of which, just as the infinite quantity of the body is not to be posited, as is said in Physics 3, so neither is eternal time. Now the truth of the propositions, which must be granted even to the negation of the propositions, from which the seventh reason proceeded, has the necessity of the order of the predicate to the subject. Hence it does not force anything to exist always, except perhaps the divine understanding, in which is the root of all truth, as was shown in the first chapter. It is clear, therefore, that the reasons derived from creatures do not compel us to posit the eternity of the world.